All right. So in the last meeting, we learned Mesopotamia, right? Now, with the Tigris River and the Euphrates River, this area is highly desirable. So now many city, state, and empire arose in this area. And we learned Egypt. Now, there is only one empire for 1700 years. And today, we're going to see Greece and Rome, or the ancient art. So again, let's see this timeline of the ancient art. In Mesopotamia, was right here before this century for 2000 years. We saw city state by Sumerian, first empire by Akkadians, and the second empire by Babylonian, and the third empire by Assyrians, and the fourth empire by Neo-Babylonian. Also, the Egypt paralleled like Mesopotamia for 1700 years, and Greece is about the same period of the Egypt and the Mesopotamia. It's right here. So the Greece comes from Aegean culture. The artistic cultures of the Aegean parallel in time those of Egypt and Mesopotamia about 3000 BCE. And the last period of Greece is called Hellenism. And there is a Rome. Rome began before the century and continued to 4th century. Now let's briefly see the Aegean culture first before the Greece. So Greek culture arose on the lands bordering sea, the Aegean Sea here. So there are 3 Aegean major cultures, Cycladic, Minoan, and Mycenaean. So let's see one by one. So the Cycladic is centered on a group of small islands in the Aegean. Cycladic art is a puzzle because we know almost nothing about the people who made that. It consists almost exclusively of nude female figures like this. And the next one we're going to see of the Aegean culture is Minoan culture. The Minoan culture is based on the island of Crete at the southern end of the Aegean. Centered on the great city of Knossos, here is located Knossos. Minoan culture can be traced to about 3000 BCE. We take the name from the legendary king called Minos, who supposedly ruled at Knossos. The palace, this one, at Knossos features post and intel construction with painted columns topped by pillow-like capitals. The last Aegean culture is Mycenaean culture. Mycenaean culture, so called because it formed around the city of Mycenae here, flourished on the south coast of the Greek mainland. Mycenaean built palaces and temples, but they are also noted for their elaborate burial costumes and tombs like Egyptian. So like this, burial places in and around Mycenae have yielded large quantities of exquisite gold objects, such as a lighten. This is called like lighten in the shape of a lion's head. Now let's move on to Greece and Rome. The word classical refers to two cultures like Greece and Rome. It aesthetically indicates artworks of the highest quality and standard. So Greek philosophers were the first to speculate on the nature and purpose of art. The sculpture, painting, and architecture were discussed as technique, in our words, technology and technique. Technique is things requiring a special body of knowledge and skill to make. So there are three artistic periods in Greek art. First is the Archaic period, and the next one is the Classical period. And the last period is the Hellenistic period. So each period has remarkable features. So let's see how the periods are different. So let's see the Archaic period first. This is called crater. And the crater is one of the many standard Greek pottery shapes. A crater was a vessel used for wine. And this is Kouros. This statue is called like Kouros. Greek statue depicts an anonymous boy. Thousands of such figures were curved, all of them in the same pose, and all nude, young, and idealized with broad-shouldered, slim waist and bodies. And the Greek female statue is called like Kore. And the painting technique on the pottery of the Archaic period is called like red figure style. The ground is painted black, like this, and while figures are left mostly unpainted with only thin black lines to describe the forms. The red that result is the natural color of fired earth. Earlier, Archaic pottery had employed the reverse color scheme with black figures painted on a red ground. Now let's move on to the Classical period. So the Classical period dates from 400 to the 480.
Sorry, Professor.
323 BCE. It is considered to be the height of Greek art. The Greeks invented this contrappost pose to express the potential for motion inherent in a standing human. The material is bronze, and bronze was the favored material for freestanding sculpture in ancient Greece. So let's compare these two styles of Greek sculpture. The left one is archaic sculpture, and the right one is classical sculpture, now contrapposto. So we can clearly see the differences between these two sculptures, right, everyone? So what are the differences between these two sculptures?
The beard is more defined, or it has a beard.
That's right, exactly.
I'll say the archaic versus the classical is more, the archaic is more so it's plain, is generalized, but the classical, it has detail to it.
Very good, perfect. So the left one, this one, the left one, the archaic Carrozza sculpture, it was an amazing achievement to create a freestanding human sculpture now, like in before the century. But despite of the great process, it still looks unnatural and less details. And the movement is very, very limited. We can find the movement only on the left foot. However, the classical contrapposto sculpture shows incredibly natural movement and it has lots of details, very realistic. So we can tell this is the height of Greek art. And although all ancient Greek and Rome art is broadly known as classical, the art produced during classical period was considered by later European scholars to be the finest to the finest. So this is Athens, was the cultural and artistic center at the time. And Athens, which was chief of the city-states, had been built around the high hill Acropolis. Looks familiar with us, right? So this is Parthenon at Acropolis. So Greeks dedicated to the goddess Athena, the Parthenon, or Athena, the warrior maiden. Parthenon is a Doric style temple with columns all around the exterior and on in a row of columns on each of the short walls. And this is Doric style that the Parthenon has, right? The left one. So this Doric style column is a simple and classical compared to the other two columns styles, such as Ionic and Corinthian. So everyone, when you look at these three column styles, what's the feature of the Doric style? Can you find that compared to the other columns style?
It's rather plain.
Plain. Yep, very good. Let's focus on the columns shape. The columns shape. Is it straight? The Doric columns.
I don't think.
Yeah, you don't think so, right? It's not.
No, because it looks
The top
at the
looks
top it looks like it's just yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the thickness between the bottom and the top is not same at all. No. So the Doric styles columns are not straight, as you can see. However, the tall columns, like this, the tall columns may appear to bend inward at the center. So they look absolutely straight from the viewer's eyes. So this is called antithesis. So the architects of the classic Greek art calculated the relative errors by the viewers and applied it to the temple. So this is amazing because they did it 2,500 years ago. So please remember the emphasis technique. And the last period of Greek art is called Hellenistic. And it begins about 323 BCE. And this style emphasizes balance and restraint while also favoring dynamic poses and extreme emotion. So let's see the examples. So these are all the Hellenistic sculptures. So the sculpture of this era poses with theatrical quality and complex poses. So there is a video about Hellenistic art in the Moodle page. So please watch it to see more beautiful Hellenistic art. So now we can recognize the different styles by the Greek art period, right? The archaic period shows the limitation to show the movement, and the classic period shows the complete technique to create natural and classic freestanding sculpture. And the Hellenistic period shows emotions and dynamic movement beyond the classic. Now, let's see the last art movement in the ancient art, Rome. The Rome era begins about 510 BCE, and it overlaps the Greek era. The Romans admired Greek art and copied many of their works. So the most of Hellenistic sculptures we see are not original. So, we just saw this Hellenistic sculptures together, right? And this is not made by Greek artists. The most of the original Greek sculptures were destroyed by the church during the Middle Age. Now we're going to learn the Middle Age in the next meeting. So the most of Greek sculptures we are able to see are made by Romans. So these are all copied works by Romans. So Roman art tends toward realism. As you can see on the left wall, fresco painting, all the figures look very natural and realistic. And the Romans were best known for their architecture and engineering. Their most famous monument is the Colosseum. The Colosseum covers 6 acres and it has 80 arched entryways and exits, and it commemorated over 50,000 people, and it is truly a symbol of Rome. So that's it for the prehistory and the ancient Mediterranean world chapter. And we have a discussion related to this chapter. So let me go back to our Moodle room. So everyone, please go to week 10 after this meeting and go find, someone already posted, week 10-1. So this is the topic. So please discuss the architecture of the ancient Greeks and Romans. What advancements did each culture make in buildings, and why are these works still considered such marvels today? So please answer this question by tonight, and by tomorrow, please reply to your peers. And again, we have assignments by March 28th. you will see the information in week 11 page here. The assignment 2 is virtual tour. So you're gonna take a virtual museum tour for this assignment. Again, the due date is March 28th, by Monday. So it's up to you. You can visit an art museum in person, or you can just take a tour by clicking this the Google Art and Culture Collection. When you click this, you will see many art museums in the world. You can just choose one of them and then take a tour. And here is the assignment 2's guide. For the first page, this is going to be just the cover page. You will write your name and class name and virtual visiting date and the art museum's name and the location.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yep.
Where do we see the art museum name and location?
So here, so this is MoMA. This is the title. The MoMA, the Museum of Art, Museum of Modern Art. That's the museum title. Oops. Here, and the location is New York, United States. So you can just write all of them on your cover page.
Okay,
Yep. And
thank you.
you're welcome. And for the second page, you will choose at least 5 artworks, 5 masterpieces from the museum tour, and then copy and paste their works. And you're gonna provide the artwork information that is called the caption, like artist name, the title of the work, the size, and the medium of the work. Medium means like a material, like oil on paint canvas or acrylic on canvas, like that.
Okay, I'm sorry, Professor. Another question. Like, if we choose MoMA, the 5 images we're gonna get will be under the MoMA, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
It should be from one art museums.
Okay.
Yes. And on the third page, this is the most important part. You're gonna write your appreciation about the art pieces you picked for the from the art museum tour. I want to see your feeling, opinion, or thought from the museum tour and the masterpieces. Please do not copy and paste any information from the resources. I don't want to see it. So